Hey guys, Chad Andrews, Total Cyclist Training Centers, Camps, and Coaching. Yes, beer and pizza with Chad. What are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about COVID-19 and social distancing as a cyclist. And you may be saying to yourself, well, how in the heck do we do that? Well, it's pretty simple. I've been on a couple group rides, and man, I tell you what, the leaders of the group rides here in Charlotte have been great. However, the cyclists in those groups haven't exactly been perfect and spot on. Let's go over a couple of things that we can do as cyclists and endurance athletes to kind of change this mantra. Number one, I mean, it's super hard to do social distancing on a group ride. Yep, I get it. I totally get it. You can see these two knuckleheads right here. They're doing their own version of the 6 foot or 2 meters or whatever you want to call it. But number one, if you're riding in a pace line, you are going to get sweated on. That's it. You are going to catch not only, especially, let's flash back. You're 30 minutes into a ride, you're going up a climb. That's where everybody has a tendency to either spread out or clump up because nobody wants to get drop on a climb. You also have the center line for bicycle racers. You guys know what that means, but it's the double yellow line. Or normally you're going to have a double yellow line on a short hill. So you're restricted to your left. So you have everybody bunching up. Is it really worth it at this time to bunch up on a climb? Because several factors happen. Number one, everybody starts breathing harder. Guess what spreads coronavirus? Breathing. The harder you breathe, a lot bigger chance that you have of transmitting or getting it. Number two, the proximity to the left and to the right on the smaller roads, if you're riding in the country, it's going to be hard to spread out from that scenario. So you've got to, here's my suggestion, and it's just merely a suggestion. When you're doing your group rides, have a plan for the hills. Have a plan for the flats. Have a plan for your rotating pace line. Because I think, yes, we're outside and we have the wind moving the virus around, but, I mean, why take a chance? So maybe spread out a little bit on the hills when you get to them, have a little pecking order, maybe send the stronger riders up to the climb and have them stop at the end of the road. Your medium riders spread out that way, and your slower riders. Normally I would be the other way around. I'd be like, okay, the slower riders go first because you obviously want to have everybody together when they get to the top. In this scenario, I'm going to flip it. I would like for the faster riders to go and distance themselves on the climb. At this time of the year with all this going on, does it really matter about... You can get the Strava, but does it really matter if we beat each other's brains out in close proximity? I say no. So that'll also offset the challenges that we have when we're all together and we're restricted by the yellow line on the left and rocks in the side of the road and curbs on the right. So I think that's a great plan to do that. And I've noticed that some of the rides are starting to implement that, but I think that would be a great way for all of us to be safe, to enjoy the group rides, and not spread the coronavirus. Secondly, snotting, sneezing, coughing, whatever. Please have respect for your fellow riders. If you're going to spit, snot rocket, whatever, let people know. Over-communicate, I think, in this situation is such a key. If you over-communicate, then it's not like crying wolf, because the wolf is the coronavirus, and why spread it? So drift off the back, say, hey guys, I've got to spit, snot, whatever. And even to a certain extent, maybe drinking some water, because I know all of you cyclists, when you're out there in groups, people have a tendency to tip that sucker back, and when they tip it back, fluid comes out. So, yeah, just take that in consideration. So, have respect. If you got to snot, spit, drink, whatever, just drift off the back a little bit. The biggest challenge that I have noticed, and this is point number 3, is pace lines. How do you offset that? How do you mitigate riding in a pace line with other people without snotting, slobbering, especially in fast group rides? How do you do it? I don't think masks are an answer for group rides. I mean, nobody's going to do it. A, it's uncomfortable. B, you just can't breathe. And why, you're already suffering enough if you're in a group ride most of the time. So, I think this is a little bit of faith and hoping that anybody that has a fever or that has potential or that has a family member, you've got to do your due diligence to trust that you're making the right decision if you go out on a group ride. If you go out on a group ride and you're asymptomatic, man, that would be such a bummer. And I know there are situations where it's been spread throughout the course of the past couple months where there's been one instance maybe, and we don't have the tracking that we hope to have in the future, but that happens. So if you're a cyclist and you know that somebody is in your house that has it or that you might have it, get tested before you go on group rides. I just think, we're touting this whole outside thing as being a partial answer to this entire situation. And we are all going bonkers right now. I've been on 2 group rides since this has started, last weekend and the weekend before that, just because I was like, I need the social interaction, and we are social animals as cyclists, runners, and triathletes, so we like to be around people. The ride leader at the shop, he was great. He said, look, have respect for others. And we're a very respectful group with each other when we're on group rides. So this is just an extra layer of respect. If there's something going on and you think you might have a small chance, 1% is still 1%. So get checked. Don't go on group rides. And then follow those rules that I was talking about social you can still social distance. The hardest thing to do is during the group rides is the pace line, a 2-up pace line. That to me is just like, does it being outside offset? I'm not a scientist when it comes to this, but it's a practical thinking process. Does the being outside and the wind blowing around actually offset the fact that we're riding close and that we are, snotting and breathing heavy and that kind of stuff? Maybe that some of you guys out there might have a better answer for that. I did not want to delve into that because I think maybe in the future we could have a couple people on that have better ideas of what that means. But I just think that, if we do those 3 things, if you're, number one, on the climbs and on the harder parts, spread out a little bit. I mean, it's not that hard. I just don't want to see everybody just, like, last thing you want to hear when you're on a group ride and you're climbing a hill is somebody next to you heaving and just, you've seen it. I'm that guy that goes to the top of a climb during a hard group ride, and I'm just like, I'm just like, do you want any of that all over you? No. Spread out. Number 2, if you have to drink, spit, snot, whatever, just please drop off to the back, not the side. The side doesn't work, because if you're going to go to the side, you're going to have to go a double yellow line or into the other line of traffic, and I just think that presents a whole other problem. Plan, scoot to the back, do your business, even eating, drinking. Just be respectful. It's taking those next steps of being respectful in a group ride, but go off the back. And number 3, finally, is that you've got to do your ownership as a cyclist is to make sure that you don't have something that you can give to somebody else, regardless of how you feel. So I think those are important keys. That's it. I just kind of wanted to reach out to you guys. We're getting back into the flow as COVID is now. Well, I mean, what's it doing in your state? In our state, it's going up. So I figured, why not? Let's just get started again. Let's get this ball rolling. And I hope that you guys are happy. I hope you're safe. And I hope you're enjoying your group rides out there, because, after all, that's what we do. Even these 2 right here. I mean, is that 6 feet? I don't know. All right, that's going to do it. Chad Andrews here. Total Cyclist Training Centers, Coaching, and Camps. Easy for me to say. All right, you guys have a good day. Later.